Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. We'll move on now to item number 13, recommendations from standing committees. And we are now considering the following. Item 13.1, Committee of the Whole Workshop Minutes of January the 19th, 2022. Do members have any questions? I have a motion moved by Councillor Brunet and seconded by Councillor Rajima that Council approve the following recommendations from Standing Committee. Committee of the Whole Workshop Minutes of January 19th, 2022. Madam Clerk, would you please call out the vote?
Councillor Brunet?
Yes.
Councillor Pachariva?
Yes.
Councillor Miklick?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Councillor McPherson?
Yes.
Councillor Russell?
Yes.
Councillor Rajima?
Yes.
Councillor Reimer?
Yes.
Councillor Timmers?
Yes.
Mayor Easton?
Support.
And that carries.
Thank you. Item number 14 is notice of motion. We are now considering item 14.1 under notice of motion brought forward from Councillor Brunet. This is an introductory notice of motion regarding a temporary moratorium for development on King Street and will be considered at a next scheduled council meeting. Councillor Brunet, would you like to provide introductory remarks to this item? And please note that consideration will be given at the council meeting on February the 14th, 2022. Go ahead, Councillor Brunet.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. Just very quickly, just looking at the motion that Councillor Timmers and I brought forward back in May 31st that was adopted and passed by Council on June 21st. This is just kind of the next step as we wait for the Heritage Conservation District study to be completed. So I look forward to working with staff to fine tune the motion for the February 14th meeting. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you very much. On to item number 15, report of municipal officers. We are now considering item 15.2, award of contract for playground protected rubber.
Madam Mayor?
Yes?
Sorry to interrupt you, but we do have a hand raised by Councillor Pachariva.
Oh, my apologies. Councillor Pachariva.
Yeah, Your Worship. Thanks. I couldn't get my button to work right off the bat. So I just wanted to make a point that I understand Councillor Foster's report this evening is going to touch on Vision Zero. And I've got a notice of motion that I prepared to speak to that. So if we could deal with it after him, if that's satisfactory.
All right. Or does Madam Clerk, could you just advise us on the best place to bring that forward?
Sure. So I understand that Regional Councillor Foster has an update regarding Vision Zero. So perhaps maybe after his update, and we motion to receive and file the reports of municipal officers of both yourself and Regional Councillor Foster, we can do a vote to add to the agenda, which is 2/3. Once that passes, we'll do a 2/3 vote to consider the notice of motion placed on the agenda, and then hear what Councillor Pachariva would like to share with members of council. And then after that, we'll do a vote on that actual motion.
Okay, Councillor Pachariva, was that your intention?
Yes. Yes,
Very
Your Worship.
good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, all right, we'll move on now to 15, having had that consideration. And I've read the item. And are there any members that have any comments about the award of contract for the playground protective rubber surface supply? There being none, I have a motion moved by Councillor Russell and seconded by Councillor McPherson. Receive and file report CS-01-22, regrading the award of contract for playground protective rubber surface supply and installation. Approve the contract award to Premier Custom Surfacing, Inc. in the amount of $804,600, excluding HST. And authorize the mayor and clerk to sign and seal the contract documents on behalf of the municipality. Madam Clerk, would you please call out the vote?
Thank you, Councillor Brunei,
Yes.
Councillor Pachariva,
Yes.
Councillor Miklick,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Councillor McPherson,
Yes.
Councillor Russell,
Yes.
Councillor Rajima,
Yes.
Councillor Reimer,
Yes.
Councillor Timmers,
Yes.
and Mayor Easton,
Support.
and that carries.
Thank you. We are now considering item 15.3, screening and hearing officer bylaw, shared servicing agreement, report PD-01-22. Our Director of Planning and Development will provide opening remarks to this report. Mr. Bruder, would you please go ahead?
Thank you, Your Worship. Yeah, this is just a report. We've looked at this along with some other municipalities as it stands now with the AMPS process, the Administrative Monetary Penalty System. There's kind of two steps to appealing an offense. There's first a screening that's done currently by Mr. Barkway at the town, but then after that, there's also a hearing that needs to be held by a third party should it get to that point. Up until now, the town of Lincoln was just working kind of just with Thorold independently on a kind of a per needed basis. But lately, there's been 8 municipalities all talking. And, you know, through that, everybody had figured out, well, we're all using the same services for the hearings. So just to achieve economies of scale, we wanted to execute a shared services agreement. Just helps with the cost a little bit, helps to coordinate, gives us a little bit more in terms of how many hearings at that price, because we have some other things coming online with the Administrative Monetary Penalty System, clean yards, for example, and then getting into some business licensing that will probably increase the amount of hearings, at least potentially. So this was just a good step for us to, again, look for some cost savings and streamlining process that way. And then the other component was with the screening officer, in case there needs to be changes on who has to do that, just to delegate that authority to the CAO to appoint. So that's just a very quick overview, Your Worship. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do members have any questions? There being none, I have a motion moved by Councillor Mikelic and seconded by Councillor Pachariva. That council receive and file as information report PD-01-22, shared servicing agreement for screening and hearing officer, and that council authorize and direct the mayor and town clerk to execute the shared services agreement attached as Appendix A, and that council direct staff to prepare the necessary bylaw for council's consideration with respect to appointing, number 1, Rutherford Prosecutions as the appeal officer with respect to Administrative Monetary Penalty System, AMPS, for both parking and non-parking related offenses for the town of Lincoln. 2, delegate the authority to the Chief Administrative Officer to appoint a screening officer with respect to Administrative Monetary Penalty System, AMPS, for both parking and non-parking related for the town of Lincoln. Madam Clerk, would you please call out the vote?
Councillor Brunei,
Yes.
Councillor Pachariva,
Yes.
Councillor Miklick,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Councillor McPherson,
Yes.
Councillor Russell,
Yes.
Councillor Rajima,
Yes.
Councillor Reimer,
Yes.
Councillor Timmers,
Yes.
Mayor Easton,
Support.
that carries.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. We're now considering item 15.4, the mayor's report. I have a few comments to make this evening. And so I say good evening to and welcome to the members of the public to the first Town of Lincoln Council meeting of 2022. And I would say that the continued public health accommodations for COVID that we've all been very busy and very involved in, often with some frustration with the ups and downs of trying to avoid even minor illness, has not been easy, particularly over the holidays. But I want to thank you all for doing everything you can to stay free of illness. And it looks like we may be turning the corner on the situation. Let's hope so. Housing availability is the second biggest issue across the country. And while we continue with planning in Lincoln, The province has announced $45 million to the province's 39 biggest municipalities to help modernize the management of applications for housing developments. The impact, however, will be felt by all 444 municipalities. The province met with the big city mayors and the regional chairs last Wednesday to discuss the housing crisis. And the Niagara regional mayors will be meeting soon to discuss this strategy and how we can work together to increase housing supply at the lower level. And by the way, this is not a discussion about homelessness because that is being dealt with entirely separately. Some of the suggestions that the province were making to move the development approvals process forward include better and more efficient online systems, timely updates on the status of applications, and also a standardized application process. They also suggested that third-party reviews will also be available to find ways to speed up the creation of new housing. The province has also formed a task force with housing industry leaders, including nonprofits, Indigenous housing groups, and economic leaders, all about increasing market housing. I would say to the members of the Lincoln community that Lincoln is a leader in efficient processing of housing applications and will continue to work with our community and the development community to ensure that we continue to receive the appropriate level of public input, including educating the public on matters of planning policy, and our usual negotiation that goes on between staff and the developers to ensure that the public's concerns are brought forward to the greatest extent possible. I think we should have some concern that speeding up the process may have an impact on the level of public input that we are accustomed to. So it will be we will certainly have eyes on this, looking out on our community's behalf. We believe it is important to recognize housing need and efficient processes while maintaining a high level of public involvement. So reading between the lines, if we collectively work through the issues, we can protect the look and feel of Lincoln. I think that we have the notice of motion that came forward tonight with the moratorium is certainly a step to assist us with that. And anything less than that runs the risk of being overtaken by the planning process that may speed up quite considerably. We certainly are well aware of the province's desire to get things moving at a completely different pace. On another matter, looking at the last year, a number of smart technology initiatives are being undertaken in the municipality, and they're not only easy to access, but they're increasing our transparency to all of you in the community. More data-driven decisions, many based on your input. Enhanced citizen engagement, certainly Speak Up Lincoln has turned out to be quite a boon for many members of the public, and we're receiving tremendous feedback on how well that is working. Safer communities, our new parking bylaw, lowering speeds, traffic calming measures, speed indicators, and the rerouting of heavy trucks. Improved transportation comes out of this, and connected transportation, enhanced efficiencies, traffic management, speed management, enhancing traffic flow and parking management, and red light and stoplight control, which is something that we're just starting to move into. We're increasing our bill payment options online. We're talking about improved broadband efforts, and we spoke about that today. Councillor Timmers presented to the minister today on the matter of broadband efforts on behalf of council and high-speed internet. A much more equitable environment for citizens is what we're attempting to achieve here. New economic development opportunities and the increased ability to attract new residents and businesses, and to further enhance tourism to improve our economic development, and also to support faster business recovery. Efficiency in the use of public utilities using smart sensors to detect leaks, reducing water loss, enhancing our communication on peak usages and electric outages. Planning to replace roads and bridges, which has always been a very heavy agenda in Lincoln, building repairs and service replacements, all part of our asset management plan, which is very, very active, and protecting your investments, predicting repairs and replacement before a failure, effective management of assets, part of the day-to-day work at the town. Very important to all of this is a highly effective workforce. It's very essential to an efficient municipality. Smart technology alleviates manual and repetitive tasks. The autonomous capabilities, mobile devices, and sensors all allow town employees to steer their efforts to more strategic initiatives. There's a greater emphasis on the effectiveness of specialized teams to ensure the community and council vision is carefully planned and successfully executed. It is a fact that COVID has taken over a great deal of our collective attention, but at the end of the years that we have had in 2020 and 2021, council holds itself to a high standard of performance through staff response to you. And this is evidenced by successful implementation of programs and a benefit to everyone overall, including our communication and interaction with upper tiers of government. You live in Lincoln, where everyone not only strives to, but believes in the principles of kindness and support to others, where we can genuinely implement programs to support our businesses at the worst time in their history, where our concern for our community's children and our seniors has never been more vital, and their welfare and futures never more important to support, where every day the army of essential workers keeps goods moving and the economy moving, sometimes stuttering, but effectively going forward. I encourage you to see the good around you. At the town of Lincoln, we are all here to see the community through by working together and seeking understanding, which is sometimes painful when we get down to self-awareness, because we know that misunderstanding and a lack of support are frequent challenges during such as the time as we are experiencing. This interpretation can lead to difficult conversations, and difficult conversations are not necessary when they're replaced with a series of productive conversations that are authentic and humanistic and growth-oriented. With those continued conversations, we should never get to the point where you are so frustrated that it's difficult and uncomfortable. Let's keep our conversations alive and authentic and keep misunderstandings to a minimum. I want to thank you for inviting us into your homes and for remembering, especially tonight, that the Keep It Clear event started at noon today. Plowing and salting and sanding is ongoing. The newest update, I just put it on Facebook. It's also on the town sites, and you can contribute to an effective response with the snow response by keeping your vehicles off the street. So that's just a kindly reminder, and good evening to all of you. I'd like to move forward then to item 15.5, Regional Councillor Update. Councillor Foster.
Well, thank you very much, Mary Easton, and as you had said as well, good evening to the public as well as council and all the staff that are online. What an amazing meeting you guys have had this evening. My goodness, you've gone through the whole gambit of things right from start to this particular point in time. I got to admit, I'm truly impressed. I want to start just with a comment on your transit vote. I'm really, really happy that you had a unanimous vote on that. That is going to help both Mayor Easton and myself very much so at Niagara Region when we are into further discussions on this particular item. And just to allay the fears of Councillor Russell in his commentary, you can be absolutely trusted that both Mayor Easton and I, as well as most members of Regional Council, are very much interested in the bottom line financial interest in what's going on. And we are continuously monitoring those types of things. And don't kid yourself, you guys put Matt and the team through the ringer. We did as well at Niagara Region. And certainly, I think we've got a very good plan in place. And you guys deserve an awful lot of credit. From the earlier meetings that you had, a lot of the items were incorporated into the transit plan. And you guys gave incredibly good feedback, and it's been stated to me many times by staff at the region with that. Just another quick comment to the motion from Welland, and there was a discussion about affordable housing. Just keep in mind, and as you guys are looking to the future for community improvement programs within the town of Lincoln, there has been a fairly significant change has been put in place in that there is a strong affordable housing component that is going to come into play with community improvement programs in the future, particularly focusing in on the region. So I look forward to seeing how Lincoln is actually going to be able to incorporate that over the next couple of years as you guys have to go through and take a real good look at your programs that are coming into play. And just the final note from listening to things, I'm really glad you were able to present to the minister today on broadband. Obviously, it's an issue that I've been heavily involved with, being on the SWIFT board, as well as dealing with things at Niagara Region in this particular area. What I will say to you is that there are some issues that are going on with the programs that the province has been rolling out. And it really is not so much that they're not providing funding, it's how they're going about and making differentiation on mapping and areas and making decisions on how those funds are going out. Be very, very pleased to talk with you, Councillor Timmers, at some point in time, even further on this one, because it is quite a fascinating overall series of things that are going on in that area, and a lot of positives. You got to give the province credit where it's due. So my notes to you guys tonight, I wanted to just briefly talk about a couple of things that's come up. Public Works, there was some additional funding that was required for Montrose Road. I mentioned that here because as we went through and talked about concerns out of Lincoln with the region, Montrose Road became a bit of a lightning rod on what happened with capital at the region this past year. So just to let you know that there was even additional funds that were requested in that area. Didn't exactly lead to extremely positive discussions, but sometimes you have no choice within some of these things, particularly if engineering situations come into play. We also had the Waste Management Planning Steering Committee come back with information, and so one of the questions that I have for you guys, and it's not we don't have to talk about it tonight, but I do know that there have been additional discussions at the region about coverings, and I know we have done a pilot project in town. I do know that there's some discussion that there'll be additional pilots that are going to be going on. The original pilot project in and around coverings was not particularly positive. That came back with the results out of that. But I'm of the opinion that I think there's other solutions that need to be put in place. So looking forward to some additional discussions in that area. Mayor Easton talked about public health and the ongoing COVID crisis that we have. The region is very much focused on a number of areas with this. There was redeployment of staff again into other areas to make sure that things were being appropriately moved along. There was some emergency funding that was required around temporary shelters and also emergency shelters. That led to quite a debate the other day. However, it is important to know that for those that are without, we certainly are making sure that monies are there to make sure that we have shelter in place for those that require it. Corporate services, and I think most of you are aware, the Fort Erie Urgent Care Center ended up being temporarily closed because of staffing issues at Niagara Health. One of the things that was done is that we made an agreement region with the town of Fort Erie and Niagara Health to make sure that there was a temporary transportation service that was put in place between Fort Erie and the Port Colborne Urgent Care Center. So again, that's part and parcel of meeting the needs when it's required within Niagara region. Niagara region also at our last council meeting, actually through our planning, draft number 1 came out of the Niagara official plan, and it's being released for consultation. There's going to be a number of public meetings that are going to be coming up with that. I would suggest very strongly that, well, I would absolutely know that your staff are going to be looking at this, but, you know, take a good look at it yourselves. And if, again, we can have a further discussion, all of this is going to be happening over the course of the next few months. I put on to this Vision Zero discussions. So some very interesting things have been going on in the world of politics here in Niagara West in the last, I'd say, couple of weeks. And I think I, like most of you on Lincoln Council, are disappointed in the events that transpired regarding road and traffic safety in Niagara. I think, you know, this council, as well as Niagara region, have been focusing on making streets safer, and when it makes sense to make streets safer. I can tell you, as a longtime town councillor, as you all know, I'm proud of the accomplishments on these files this term. I think you guys have done tremendous work in this area, and further the commitment that's been going on at Niagara region in these areas as well. I think we've been making a lot of positive inroads. However, you know, a few things have come into play. Vision Zero is a regional policy, and so next steps are currently being thought through. A funding model will be developed even if municipalities are not going to be involved for whatever reason. There's been some commentary that I have read saying, you know, the program has been sort of knocked on its ear. Well, no, that's not the case at all. We will be moving forward with Vision Zero. The question now is, what is that program going to look like? And it's a very positive thing, in my opinion, that the town of Lincoln supported it so strongly when it came through earlier. Like so many issues, an incredible amount of misinformation was tabled, particularly in our neighbors to the west in the meeting that they went through. You know, embracing the concept of safer roads, particularly when it comes to school zones and intersections that have proven records of traffic trouble. You know, it seems there's been an awful lot of what I call 1995 thinking that came into play, which I think is too bad. Just as an FYI, and discussions with staff today, there have been complaints today about excessive speeding in the community to the west of us, proving again that no municipality is immune from these issues. Vision Zero is a project that was designed around road safety. Our programs, like Lincoln's, came about due to complaints, but also with detailed speed measurement data. The community safety zone on Victoria Avenue has provided significant data, not unlike what has been seen here in Lincoln with your traffic monitors. And as all of you know, that information is quite invaluable when it comes to making decisions on where things are going to be changed and how we're going to be handling speed limits, all these types of things. You know, schools, families, and the community have all been requesting that speeds be reduced, particularly within the school zones. There's expected to be a halo effect when this program does come into play. So the intention is to be slowing down traffic in all school zone, and they're going to be rotating cameras to help with this. In my discussions with Carol and Rael, the reality on this is that the overall expectation is to be changing the habits of people as they're driving through, in particular school zones. And I mean, we'd like to see it throughout our urban areas, but for sure, let's start with the school zone and make sure that this is working properly. The costs of the Vision Zero project are being borne by the region. The funds have already been designated, actually. Staffing is already in place as part of the current POA workings. So while some additions may be required, depending on volumes, there are not many changes that are required in that area. What has been requested of the local area municipalities is agreement on the funding formula, which of course the town of Lincoln did agree to. And by the way, this was agreed to by all the CAOs and treasurers across Niagara. So, you know, this didn't come about just randomly from Niagara region. In recent debates in other municipalities, the following types of issues have been raised. One councillor said he didn't want the people in his ward to get tickets. Okay, fair enough. Others talked about that this is going to force traffic onto municipal streets away from regional streets. Well, I don't know how that really is going to work, particularly in most municipalities. And slowing people down, I don't think is a bad thing. Another wanted to know what the speed threshold was for ticketing. And another pointed out that discussions with police in particularly here in Niagara West was not particularly supportive. So setting aside the first couple of comments, it's really puzzling how traffic will divert off of regional roads. Being forced to travel for safety purposes by schools at the speed limit should only actually add seconds to a journey, at least you know, by my understanding. Whether they police themselves or with technology solutions, thresholds are never released. The police don't release that information. And the technology solutions, when Mayor Easton and I were in the discussions on this earlier, they said, no, that won't be released. There will be a threshold that's built into play. However, the intention is to be getting people to be driving and behaving appropriately within school zones. The last thing on this is that the Chief of Police for Niagara has stated and very clearly today reiterated that police services are completely in favor of the approach that's being taken in this area. So I just want to commend the town of Lincoln, you guys on council, for having been supportive of this right from the start. I think even in the discussions that I heard earlier from this council, not only do you want to embrace it, but you also want to go to the next step and take a look at other streets within our municipality as well to see whether or not it makes sense to be moving forward and doing this type of work as well. So with that, Madam Mayor, I'm available for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comprehensive report, Councillor Foster. And I see that Councillor Pachariva has his hand up. Go ahead, Councillor.
Yeah, thanks, Your Worship. And Rob, thank you very much for going to bat on this. I was utterly mortified when I heard the news coming out that Grimsby voted down the Vision Zero plan. You know, we had wholeheartedly supported it when it was here. We were at the opening together of the 20 Valley Schools Community Safety Zone. Actually been pushing through you and Mr. Graham to establish one on King Street for Jacob Eames School and another one on Mountain Street for St. Mark's School. And, you know, my first volley to you on Saturday was, well, if Grimsby doesn't want the cameras, you know, we'll gladly take them because, you know, we understand that it's about changing behavior, and our kids are the most vulnerable resource that we have. So it's and another question that came out of the discussion was, well, we won't know where they are because they'll be rotating around. Well, police never publicize a speed trap. And, you know, this is just one of the other tools in the toolbox that will help us change driving habits. You know, we've worked with Director Graham to institute traffic calming, and you know, we're going to deliver that tomorrow night at our ward meeting, Councilor Bernay and myself. And this is just another example of where you and the mayor, you know, you went to bat for us on the funding for West Lincoln Hospital. So thank you for bringing this to the forefront, Rob. I appreciate it. we were all in, and it didn't seem right that it had to be unanimous, that, we had the transit vote tonight and a 2/3 vote, suffice to say, should be enough. And, you were saying that the clerks, not the clerks, but the treasurers agreed to all of this. So looking for next steps, and that's kind of the genesis of my notice of motion tonight too. So.
Thank you very much, Councillor. I just, I don't want to be making any points of order or anything like that, but I just would like us to be a little bit cautious about any comments on the decision-making process or results of any of our the local area municipalities. Councillor Mikulik.
Thank you very much, Mary Easton. Through you to Councillor Foster. Thank you for coming. Appreciate you being willing to take questions and feedback from us. A question like, during your discussion on Vision Zero just now and the talk about changing driver behavior, I've brought forward an idea to our director, Dave Graham, in the past with regards to decoy police cars. Is it possible for yourself to bring this forward to the region, this idea of decoy police cars? And this is an idea that I heard about through the mayor of King City, North Toronto, where parking decoy police cars, like retired police cars in certain areas, has an effect of slowing traffic down, as people they don't know if there's a police officer there or not. And that mayor told me they have 4 of these things that they rotate around. And he says, out in the rural roads, you'd never believe how when people see an old Chevy Impala on the side of the road, cars slow down. So I was just hoping at this time if you could possibly bring that concept forward to regional staff to look at possibly implementing, especially within the rural areas of town. And another question I have through you, Madame Mayor, is with regards to the Fort Erie Hospital closure. Why do I feel like this is a concern? Like, why do I feel concerned about this? Like, we talk about the need for housing. We talk about the explosive population growth. Is there discussions at the region about accommodating this explosive population growth in terms of the health system and its management of this expected or current population growth?
Through you, Madam Mayor. Well, couple of interesting comments, Councillor Mikulik. Number one on, if you guys want retired police cars out through the community. I mean, if that's a priority of this council and it's approved appropriately, well then, I'd be happy to bring it forward. It's not on the agenda at the region at this point in time. Hasn't, I actually, to be quite honest, no one's talked about it. So anyway, that's up to you if you wish to push that particular issue. As far as healthcare, a very interesting one. And now I will make sure that I stay in my lane with this. Councillor / Mayor Easton has way more understanding on urgent care medicine, et cetera, that goes on within communities. But this decision to temporarily close was strictly around staff being out with the particular COVID crisis. They just simply didn't have staff to man the place, and so it was a temporary move that's going on. I think it's a sort of a coalescence of a wide variety of problems that are going on at this particular point in time. And anyway, from a regional point of view, we were very happy to work with Fort Erie to make sure that people who were in need of urgent care had the transportation available to them to get to Port Colborne. I think that I think that was an appropriate move on our part. Mayor Easton did bring up that the Niagara Falls Hospital was another option for people to be going to down in that neck of the woods. I'm assuming that if people did have their own personal transportation that was easy to get around, perhaps maybe that they would be doing that. Anyway, I don't know, Mayor Easton, if you have any additional comments, but at least that's my understanding of what's going on in that area.
Well, Councillor Mikulik, there's two ways that urgent care centers come into communities. And one certainly can be where it's attached to the hospital, the local hospital, and that's the case here. And so the expertise that existed in the urgent care center was needed more urgently at the emergency department at Niagara Health System. And so they were within their rights to triage those personnel out to where the greatest need was. And that is a common practice within healthcare, and it's one that we've come to respect, and we know that it works. So that's really the question that we need to ask ourselves, because the whole issue of having enough family doctors is certainly one that Deputy Mayor, Councillor McPherson and I have been talking about, and others. I've had another number of phone calls, and the issue of urgent care centers versus comprehensive group practices is another discussion. But people like Dr. Stobie usually help us work our way through these things. And so, you know, when the discussion comes up for a walk-in center, the one in Grimsby is independent. So the hospital isn't going to be going to them unless you really have a disastrous situation occurring within the hospitals. They're not likely to be going to private enterprise and asking them if they can have their staff. And so that's a question that we have to ask, and we should ask, and we should be interested in all these questions. You're quite right. When we're working out a well-rounded, comprehensive healthcare system. And this is what Councillor Foster and I have been talking about at the region. It's the way we were able to attract $14 million into the bank from the region, from every regional municipality to pay for West Lincoln. It's because the system here is fragmented. And I'm not going to go on any further. You can see that it's not an easy answer, but it certainly is within our bailiwick. It's within our responsibilities as a growing community to pay very close attention to all of these matters. And I thank you for raising it. On the matter of decoy cars, the Niagara Regional Police are doing such a good job, you didn't even know they were out there. That practice is alive and well, I can guarantee. Thanks very much.
Appreciate that. I just bring up, you know, when you hear of a hospital closing during a crisis, that gets my attention, and as does housing, and as does population growth. But I just want to ensure that we're also addressing the needs of those people that are moving to this community by increasing capacity for not just housing, but for everything. So that's
absolutely quite right, Councillor. Thank you very much. Deputy Mayor McPherson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And hey, Councillor Foster, just a shout out to the regional waste management collection this week. And, obviously under very trying times, I think they came off like all stars. In fact, I happen to have a little extra recycle that I wanted to put out. We managed to do a little purging and took some old textbooks and ripped off the covers, and I had them all collected. And so when the garbage truck came around the day after it was supposed to come around, I walked out with this extra box, and it was all smiles, and they took it, and away they went. The only suggestion I would have is the notice that I got as I'm signed up to the region for the waste management was on the day of the pickup that it was changed. And if that could have happened, a couple of days earlier, or at least even the morning, my pickup's Friday, even if it came out Friday, I think many of my neighbors who were signed up may not have put their garbage out on Friday. They would have waited till Saturday. But overall, fabulous work. And if you could please pass that along.
Through you, Madam Mayor. Yeah, thank you, Councillor McPherson. And it was a trying week last week for sure. And Director Habermill, who you guys have all come to know and love on this council, because she's always been very willing to talk about the issues in and around waste management with yourselves, as well as with us at Niagara Region. She and her team did a bang up job. I am going to take that away though, as a comment, Councillor McPherson. The website and actually the applications had stated that they were pushing everything by a day earlier on in the week, but certainly I don't know if that was continuously repeated on some of these things. So, there does need to be some additional push information that's going out in those situations, particularly when the overall program has been shifted the complete day. I got to give credit to you guys on Lincoln Council. Most of you were publishing the information through your social media accounts as well. I was doing the same thing through my Niagara Region and my own personal Facebook accounts. And I did a number of phone calls to people down in the East End as well. Some people who have typically in the past been very much interested in having their garbage picked up on time. And so I made the different people aware, and I think that helped a little bit as well. So anyway, excellent point, Councillor McPherson.
Okay, I don't see any other hands up. So the first thing that we're going to do is I have a motion moved by Councillor Reimer and seconded by Councillor Brunet that Council receive and file as information the following reports of municipal officers, mayor's report, and regional councillor update. Madam Clerk, would you please call out the vote?
Councillor Brunet,
Yes.
Councillor Pachariva,
Yes.
Councillor Miklick,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Councillor McPherson,
Yes.
Councillor Russell,
Yes.
Councillor Rajima,
Yes.
Councillor Reimer,
Yes.
Councillor Timmers,
Yes.
Mayor Easton,
Support.
and that carries.
All right, now, Madam Clerk, we're going to Councillor Pachariva's notice of motion. And
Correct. So the first thing that we need to do, Madam Mayor, is to, we have Councillor Pachariva requesting a notice of motion regarding Vision Zero to be added for consideration to the agenda. Council would need to waive an affirmative of 2/3 to add this to the agenda right now.
okay, would you like hands up, or do you want us to use the?
And hands up is fine, and if you can just leave them up so I can see them and count them.
Okay,
And that's unanimous. Thank you. So that's added to the agenda.
okay.
Thank you. And so we will have Councillor Pachariva introduce the notice of motion, and then 2/3 to consider and deliberate on that motion.
All right, go ahead, Councillor Pachariva.
Thanks, Your Worship.
There you
So,
go.
I guess I'll read it. So, or Julie, do you have it there that you can
I have
flip
it,
up?
and
Is
I
it-
will bring it up. Absolutely.
Okay, that's probably easier. Yeah.
Sure, no problem. Give me
Thank
one
you.
moment to share my screen. And then you can read it. We'll do the 2/3 vote and then discuss, okay?
Thank you very much.
You're going to provide some background, Councillor?
Well, just
here
Your Worship,
it is.
just from the region's presentation here and our support of the program. I don't want it to get lost
Can
because
you
the
see
vote
that,
had to.
Councillor?
Yeah, that's perfect, Julie. Thank you.
Okay,
So, so whereas the government of Ontario passed legislation allowing all municipalities within the province to establish speed limits of lower than 50 kilometers an hour within their local neighborhoods. And whereas the town of Lincoln Council has allowed for the reduction of speed limits in various neighborhoods as traffic calming measures to ensure street safety, comfort, and livability are top priorities for communities across Lincoln. And whereas the town of Lincoln Council has championed the Vision Zero initiative brought forward from Niagara Region and remains focused on the safety of our roadways, school zone areas, and regional roads. And whereas the recent vote by one of the 12 councils in Niagara Region effectively has stopped Vision Zero from proceeding at this time. Therefore, be it resolved that the Town of Lincoln Council will continue to support Niagara Region on their collaborative initiative for Vision Zero and request that reconsideration be given to alternative options that allow the implementation of Vision Zero across the Niagara Region for those municipalities that support it.
All right, thank you.
Thank
Now,
you.
questions to the motion.
So we
Alright.
need to do 2/3 vote to actually get it on the table, Madam Mayor, and
Okay.
consider it.
Correct. Right, all right, go ahead, Madam Clerk.
Hands again in the air, if we can all see them. And that carries. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. And so now we'll have questions. Deputy Mayor McPherson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and appreciate the councilor's motion and bringing it forward. And my question is if I heard Councilor Foster correctly this evening, the action of the municipality to turn down the red light option, the speed tracking camera option does not stop Vision Zero. So I question the motion and its need, and also the message that the motion is delivering. So I wonder if Councilor Foster just can make comment around Vision Zero and its immediate future.
Councilor Foster?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. If it's okay, I don't want to jump into a conversation. I know you guys have procedures and stuff that you follow with this, but I I think what Councillor Patrieva is essentially doing with his motion is basically stating we support Vision Zero and let's get on with it. From a region point of view and all the discussions that I have had with regional staff today, because by the way, this somewhat took me by surprise, along with, I'm sure, most of you as well. There's a number of discussions that are going on. I have been informed that that Vision Zero is not dead, but certainly there's going to have to be some rethinking of how the process is going to go into play. And I certainly think Lincoln Council showing that they're completely supportive of this is going to send a very, very strong signal. So I appreciate what Councillor Patrieva is doing with this. Thank you.
Okay, now I'm going to go to CAO Kirkopoulos just to make sure that there isn't additional information at the staff level. Mike, do you have anything, any comments?
Through you, Madam Mayor, to Council. I was also part of some of those conversations that Regional Councillor Foster was having with Carolyn, Bruce, and CAO Tripp at the region, and in no way were they not supportive. They're aware of this motion, and so I think they're aware of Lincoln wanting to take some leadership in moving this forward. So I would say, you know, there's support for the intent of the motion and the intent of trying to do something. At least that's what I heard today in similar conversations that Councillor Foster was also part of with staff.
Okay. Councillor McPherson, where are you? I can't see you. Are you complete? Are you satisfied with the response?
Yes,
Did you want to have the
I'm done.
motion
Thank
put
you.
up again?
No, I'm fine with the answer to my question. Thank you.
Okay, great. Okay, so Councillor Brunet, you're next.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm wondering if the clerk could please put the motion back up so that we can see it.
Madam Clerk, thank you.
So through you, Madam Mayor, similar to Councillor McPherson's comments is the reason I put my hand up. I don't have a problem in principle, you know, reinforcing this council's commitment, unanimous vote to support the presentation that we saw from Carolyn Ryall and staff on red light cameras, as well as this Vision One. I guess I just have a bit of an issue, and I'm just looking for some clarity. You know, the CAO has said that he did participate in some conversations today. I'm just having a problem with the wording where it says that this is effectively has stopped Vision Zero from proceeding at this time.
Okay,
Where is that coming from? Like, how do we know that?
okay, we can do that. And then if you want to make an amendment, you can do that as well. So let's go to the CAO. And what's your advice, Mr. CAO, on this line? Is it 100% accurate? I got the impression that maybe it wasn't quite right. That's okay. I mean, that's why it's ahead of us, in front of us.
Through you, Madam Mayor, to council. So I would say at the moment right now, it is factually correct. Until such time as regional council receives a report from regional staff on other options that would deem this particular part of the motion null and void and put other opportunities or other options in front of council. For all intents and purposes, it is actually correct. As of right now, Vision Zero has stopped in its tracks. What's going to happen at a regional level is regional staff will receive a report from, or sorry, regional council will receive a report from regional staff laying out other options on how to move it forward. So, you know, if your question is as of today, is it factually correct? It is factually correct. Will it be factually correct 2 months from now? Possibly not. But again, regional staff as of today, things have stopped. They've got to go back to the drawing board, and that's what we heard from Carolyn this morning, Councillor Foster, and come up with a plan B or plan C and see if that's digestible to regional council.
Okay. All right. So, Councillor Brunet?
Yeah, I mean, based on that, then, you know, I guess we need to proceed, or I guess my opinion would be we should proceed, because I would hate to see or hear 2 months, 3 months down the road that in essence, after discussion, this didn't have unanimous support, and so it's died on the vine, and, you know, we'd be maybe kicking ourselves. So I'll listen to some other comments from my colleagues, but I do have a concern that it does appear that we're maybe speaking about another municipality's decision. And, you know, at the end of the day, everyone is entitled to make their own opinion, and that's what the democratic process is. We don't necessarily have to agree with it, but I appreciate Councillor Patchery bringing this motion forward. I'll listen to some other comments. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Okay, that's fine. We can come back to that. Councillor Timmers.
Thank you very much, Mary Ston. I think this is a very good motion, and I had the exact same question as Councillor Brunet with that one bullet. Perhaps we could change the wording in the way that it's written. I don't know what the rest of council feels on that, but I'm supportive of this, and I think, you know, Vision Zero is extremely important for the safety of our community. And I would be more than happy to second this motion.
Okay, thank you for that. And Councillor Russell?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through you to either maybe Councillor Pachariva or through to our CAO. The only thing I wonder, again, if Madam Clerk, if you could bring up the motion one more time. Again, I am supportive of how it's written. The only thing I would want to question is the last point, and wondering if there is a need to be a bit more specific to make sure that whatever iteration of Vision Zero may come from this does include those speed cameras, traffic light cameras, because I know that that's what one of the bones of contention was that in another municipality. And I just want to make sure if we don't want to get the watered down version of Vision Zero as a result of that, and to make sure that those are important functions of it and that they be included. I don't know if it's necessary to make a specific mention of them, if it'll have any value or not. But again, I just would hate to lose those in a watered down version somewhere when the region comes back with something. So I'd like to see if we can get those called out as thoughts to councillor or to the CAO.
Okay, Councillor Foster, do you happen to know the details of what's being purchased?
Through you, Madam Mayor, really this is talking about the cameras in our community safety zones, and red light cameras are the two critical components of this. Vision Zero is much bigger than that, but in my opinion, and I think you and I are on the same wavelength, Councillor Russell, that the key things are putting these new technology pieces in place to really add that next level of safety to the community. So I can tell you confidently that I will not be happy if there's something watered down comes back. That ain't going to happen. So thank you.
Okay, well, let Councillor Russell just be patient with me for a second. I'm going to go to the CAO now to make sure that your concerns, that there's a place for that to be registered early, not later. Mr. CAO.
Through you, Madam Mayor, I think there's an opportunity, Councillor, in maybe one of the whereases, and I have noticed that the clerk has sent it to me, where we can include something around automated speed enforcement and red light cameras, whether it be in an IE or something like that. So let us work on that. I totally understand what you're saying. I'm going to ask the clerk to send me the entire motion if possible.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, is that how, that's good, Councillor Russell?
Excellent.
Perfect. Okay, now, Councillor Petrieva, can you wait until we hear from Councillor Mikulik? Great. Okay, Councillor Mikulik.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through you to staff or Councillor Foster. Have all of the municipalities voted on this Vision Zero initiative yet?
Mr. CAO.
Through you, Madam Mayor, I think so effectively, I believe Grimsby was either the 9th one or the 10th one, and 9 had come before them. And so for all intents and purposes, all but 2 will have voted. And I think, Councillor Mikulik, if you're asking, does that change some of the phraseology in the report? I would say it doesn't at this particular point in time, because once one votes no, whether that's number 10 or number 3, the process kind of stops right now, at least until regional council and regional staff can come back with alternative options.
Thank you. I asked that question just if all municipalities would have to come up with a motion or support this motion in a similar way to move this Vision Zero forward. Those municipalities that have embraced this.
So through you, Madam Mayor, if I could, maybe to the councillor, I think what Councillor Foster is probably seeking and Councillor Petrieva is trying to do, and I won't speak for both of them, is just add that level of support to what inevitably may already happen at the region. But I think, again, going to the conversation with Carolyn this morning and some of the staff, I think this was seen in a positive light as something that will add and likely pick up some steam with other municipalities. As I can say, I think, with the utmost of respect to my colleagues around the CAO table, a few of us were scratching our heads reading the, I think, media reports on this one, and then, collectively trying to figure out how we go back to the drawing board. So I think from a Lincoln Council perspective, this does show some leadership and provide some support to Regional Councillor Foster and Regional Councillor Easton around the respective tables.
Wow. Thank you. I respect anyone's decision. I just in terms of those that are still in, how they move forward, that's the only thought I had. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor. And Councillor Petrieva.
Yeah, thanks, Your Worship. And I too, I respect, municipalities, the way that they see things and the way that they vote, but I don't want to miss the opportunity for us. And like our CAO said, it was supposed to be a unanimous vote for Vision Zero and the red light camera option. And I think we see a lot of motions that come from other municipalities in the region that we support. I think it's important we get out in front of this. And let us lead the charge on this, because it's important for our community. and, other municipalities can support it as they see fit at their councils. We have council tonight. I think it's important. That's why I brought it forward. I thank Councillor Timmers for seconding, and I'm, again, like always, I didn't develop this in a vacuum while driving today. I had the help of our clerk, Miss Clerk Miss Kirklos, and our CAO on crafting the wording, but am open to any modifications to see fit to get this to go through. So thank you.
Excellent. Okay, I just have to make a check here. Councillor Renee, your hand is up. Is that from before? Okay, down. Okay, great. And so Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and just to kind of circle back and through you to the CAO. So just so I understand this, so we've had Vision Zero for a year, a couple of years, 3 years, whatever it is, and in that we've had a program set up for all that time where one of the things is we double fines in that zone, and that's been monitored by the police force, and so we've got a program that's up and running, and people are looking for, including us, are looking for more locations within their community. So now comes along a proposal to introduce cameras. And the fact that cameras doesn't go through all of the municipalities with a approval halts the entire program. I just struggle with how that can be. And to me, why don't we just let that community not have red light cameras and we move ahead with all of the red light cameras in all of the other communities? This sounds like, that we've taken this one vote on an add to the program and shut the program down. So help me through this if you can.
Mr. CAO, is this part of the Niagara Act that voting or that approvals would be done in this way? Do you know?
Through you, Madam Mayor. So I don't have the Niagara Act in front of me, but I know similar to things like triple majorities, when you're seeking to enter into a legal agreement and a financial contribution agreement, there are certain stipulations that the region has. I think in order to get around those from a regional perspective, regional council will have to decide that. And like any council, if the majority of council decides to circumvent rules that have been set up, they can choose to do so. I think it just requires some deliberation around the regional council table. But I think that is the consensus, at least from a staff perspective. Is there a way to simply remove Grimsby from the conversation at this particular point in time if they have voted no? And for those of us, the 9 others, I believe that have voted yes, let's proceed with a Vision Zero program, which includes, I think, as Councillor Russell highlighted, the automated speed enforcement and the red light cameras, which are parts of Vision Zero. Deputy Mayor McPherson, you're correct. Vision Zero is a campaign looked at, healthy and safe streets, reducing death, all those things that happen with traffic and traffic fatalities. And so I think you're right. Is there a way for us to continue with Vision Zero? Yes. I think where the region is finding itself right now is they require a decision or a counter decision on the 2 pieces that have both a capital and financial impact, and that is automated speed enforcement and red light cameras and what that looks like. So can it be done? Yes. I think that's what you're going to ultimately hear from the region, is that there is a way forward, but I think it requires a deliberation around regional council. I see Councillor Foster nodding. He may be able to chime in a little more procedurally about the region's policy or rules.
Go ahead, Councillor Foster.
Yeah, if I can. This is what it is right now, Councillor McPherson, is by policy that all municipalities need to sign off with this. And so I think that's going to be part and parcel of the discussions over the next little while is, okay, what do we do when, what came in front of all of the municipalities was approving the funding formula. And that was the revenue splitting, which of course was a big to-do for Niagara Falls and Welland when this originally came up. So it took Mike and the CAOs across the region quite a bit of time to hammer out what the actual agreement was going to look like. It was expected this was going to be an academic exercise that was going into play. For whatever reason, a municipality, not naming them, kind of got off on a tangent and went down a rabbit hole, if you want to put it that way. So, I'm looking forward to seeing where we go to next. I give Mr. Kirkopoulos full credit. He was on the line this morning with people. I was reaching out as well because this is really important for our municipality, and I'm hoping. When I found out earlier that Councillor Pachariva was going to bring this through, I think this is signaling very, very strongly to the rest of Niagara that you guys are fully on board. So my thoughts anyway.
Okay, anything further, Deputy Mayor?
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and to those two responses, I would wonder if we shouldn't have more direct verbiage within the motion on the red light camera issue, as opposed to the whole Vision Zero issue. Just a thought.
Madam Mayor, if I may, to that point, can I share the updated version with council?
Okay, just
It includes that verbiage. Yep, no, go ahead. Sorry.
Deputy Mayor, are you satisfied at the moment? I'll let you come back on.
Yeah, all we're doing is trying to demonstrate our support for the program, and I'm in support of that. I'm just questioning my own mind. What we're saying, and from what I'm hearing, the Vision Zero program has come to a halt, and
that was, it's my understanding that was the question. The light cameras were not separated. So is it okay if I go to Councillor Reimer and see what he has to say?
Go ahead.
Councillor Reimer, go ahead, please. Thank you, Councillor.
Thank you, Mayor Easton. Picking up very similar to the last point Councillor McPherson spoke about. And thank you, Councillor Patry, for bringing this up, bringing this motion. If we're going to stand up and make a statement, let's do it with our fist on the table and our 2 feet firmly planted. So if there needs to be a little more, I think you said you're going to put the wording up there, but if we have to specify some of those things that Councillor McPherson talked about, or that we've mentioned before, and also make the verbiage in such a way that we do mean business. This isn't just a powder puff type of thing, that we really mean business with this. Then let's make strengthen the verbiage to have those details in there.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you very much, Councillor Reimer. All right, so let's put the motion back up. And then if there happens to be any other questions, because if there are misunderstandings, then we can deal with those.
Madam Clerk, I think I've sent a more updated version.
Yes.
An update to the update.
Let me just highlight what was actually added here. I think it just helped council just zone in on what was added. Give me one moment. Okay, I think I've, okay. Council, can you confirm that you can see that?
We can see it, but it's a little small. Can
Okay.
we need a little bigger? Well, that's helpful. Perfect.
Okay.
So it's requested by Councillor Pachariva, seconded by
I will, yeah, I'll put that in there.
Okay.
I've just highlighted, Madam Mayor, where the amendment or where the additional information has been added as a result of the conversation.
Right. Okay, so we'll need a mover and a seconder for the amendments, Madam Clerk.
Yes, so I've got a mover from Councillor Pachariva, seconded by Councillor Russell, and a show of hands, if you can, please, to ensure that this either passes or fails. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and that passes unanimously. And so we can vote on the entirety of it now. If council doesn't have any more comments, but I feel that this captures the concerns heard around the table tonight.
Okay, so we're voting now on the
entirety.
On the entire motion.
Mhm.
Anybody need it up again?
Sure, I can do that. Did you want to read that out?
I can.
Thank you.
I have a motion moved by Councillor Pachariva, seconded by Councillor Timmers. Whereas the Government of Ontario passed legislation allowing all municipalities within the province to establish speed limits of lower than 50 kilometers per hour within their local neighborhoods. And whereas the Town of Lincoln Council has allowed for the reduction of speed limits in various neighborhoods as traffic calming measures to ensure street safety, comfort, and livability are top priority for communities across Lincoln. And whereas the Town of Lincoln Council has championed the Vision Zero initiative, which includes but isn't limited to red light cameras and automated speed enforcement that was brought forward from Niagara Region and remains focused on the safety of our roadways, school zone areas, and regional roads. And whereas the recent vote by one of the 12 councils in Niagara Region effectively has stopped the Vision Zero initiative from proceeding at this time, therefore it be resolved that the Town of Lincoln Council will continue to support Niagara Region on their collaborative initiative for Vision Zero, specifically the red light camera and automated speed enforcement element, and request that reconsideration be given to alternative options that allow the implementation across the Niagara Region for those municipalities that support it. Are there any further questions to the motion? There being none, Madam Clerk, would you please call out the vote?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Councillor Brunet,
Yes.
Councillor Pachariva,
Yes.
Councillor Miklik,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Councillor McPherson,
Yes.
Councillor Russell,
Yes.
Councillor Rajima,
Yes.
Councillor Reimer,
Yes.
Councillor Timmers,
Yes.
Mayor Easton,
Support.
and that carries.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Councillor Pachariva. It was a very good discussion, councillors, and also CAO Kirkopoulos for the wordsmithing.
Thank you very much, Mayor Easton, as well from me. This is going to be very helpful to you and I as we discuss this at the region. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. All right, we're moving on to item 17, motion to approve bylaws. We have 2 bylaws for consideration this evening. Do members have any questions? I have a motion moved by Councillor Russell and seconded by Councillor Njima that leave be given to approve the following bylaws. 2022-01 bylaw to provide for interim tax levies for the year 2022. 22-02 bylaw to provide for borrowing for current expenditures. Madam Clerk, would you please call out the vote?
Councillor Brunet,
Yes.
Councillor Pachariva,
Yes.
Councillor Miklik,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Councillor McPherson,
Yes.
Councillor Russell,
Yes.
Councillor Rajima,
Yes.
Councillor Reimer,
Yes.
Councillor Timmers,
Yes.
Mayor Easton,
Support.
and that carries.
Motion to confirm proceedings of the council meeting. We will now confirm the proceedings of the special council meeting. I have a motion moved by Councillor Timmers and seconded by Councillor Reimer that leave be given to introduce bylaw number 2022-03, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of special council at its meeting held Monday, January 24th, 2022, being read a first, second, and third time. The bylaw number 2022-03 be enacted and passed, and that the mayor and clerk sign and seal the said bylaw. Madam Clerk, please call out the vote.
Councillor Brunei,
Yes.
Councillor Pachariva,
Yes.
Councillor Miklik,
Yes.
Councillor McPherson,
Yes.
Councillor Russell,
Yes.
Councillor Rajima,
Yes.
Councillor Reimer,
Yes.
Councillor Timmers,
Yes.
and Mayor Easton. And that carries.
Councillors, before we motion to adjourn the meeting, do members have any comments? I'll start with Councillor Russell. I believe you were the first councillor with your hand up. I'll start with you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I wasn't, but I will take the hand just because I'll be very quick. Through you, Madam Mayor, to our CEO, Regional Councillor Foster had reminded me of the CIP's review happening. Just wondering if you had an update on the motion that was passed last May.
Okay, thank you, Councillor.
Through you, Madam Mayor. I did actually get an update from staff last week, and I see Mr. Bruder ready to chime in, but Ms. Dale is working on that. We do anticipate hopefully to be in front of council at the end of February.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Satisfactory? Thank you. Councillor Pachariva?
Yeah, thanks, Your Worship. Just want to invite everyone and remind everyone of Councillor Brunei and myself's ward meeting tomorrow night from 7 to 9. So updates on economic development, infrastructure, budget, community service, and development. So should be a excellent evening. We've got over 50 residents sign up, and the sign up continued tonight through the meeting. So throw that invitation out to everyone. So thank you.
Very good. Councillor Njima. Thank you, Councillor.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Councillor Pachariva reminded me just now that Councillor Russell and I have a ward meeting scheduled for February 23rd. I think it's a Wednesday from 6:30 till 8 p.m.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. And Mr. Kirkopoulos, I think you're going to have the last word here.
Through you, Madam Mayor, I just, I'd be remiss if I didn't thank our public works and operations staff, some of them from community services as well. Last week, we had probably one of the largest storms we've experienced in the better part of a decade and a half at least. And, I'll include in there a number of contractors, a number of local businesses, which also supported us through the storm. Our staff worked night and day for the better part of 48 hours and beyond. And so I think it's a testament to the work that our teams do. And so I wanted to offer my thanks, my gratitude, and despite a few issues that we had in a few areas, I think overall we performed incredibly well. And so I wanted to offer my appreciation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All well warranted, absolutely for sure. Councillor Russell, your hand is up, but I think that's
It's an applause.
It was a clapping hand. Very good. Okay. I have a motion moved by Councillor Njima, seconded by Councillor Brunei, that the special council meeting on January 24th, 2022 be adjourned at 21:24. And I would say that if we believe in the mantra, continue as you begin, this is going to be a great year. Thanks, everybody. Thanks very much,
Madam
Council.
Mayor, I need to call the vote. Thank you.
Okay. Go ahead.
Moved by Councillor Rajima, seconded by Councillor Brunei. Councillor Brunei,
Yes.
Councillor Pachariva,
Yes.
Councillor Miklik,
Yes.
Councillor McPherson,
Yes.
Councillor Russell,
Yes.
Councillor Rajima,
Yes.
Councillor Reimer,
Yes.
Counselor Timmers, Mayor Easton.
Support.
We are officially adjourned.
Thank you,
Bye,
Madam.
everyone.